What's up, Ramblers? Before we start today's podcast, I just want to tell you how you can win some free money. Hashtag BDW Live. We are having an absolutely free business development webinar, and I'm inviting all of you guys. It's going to be February 26th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're giving away a bunch of awesome prizes, services, and basically free money. If you want to hear some awesome black women present, ask your needed business questions, and win some free stuff in the process, check out the details in the podcast. Before we begin, a moment from our sponsor. What's up, Ramblers? Welcome back to another wonderful episode of the Ramblings. I'm your host, Angelo Roberts, and we have a lot of tips, tricks, and things that are going on, right? So I have no idea what I'm supposed to be talking about this podcast. This is just really one of those kind of episodes that I just wanted to let my mind wander. So the first tip I wanted to tell you guys is if you don't know, if you have a MacBook, use the FN key, double tap it twice next time you're typing, right? So for those of you that are doing like say long format video typing, I almost said long form videos because I'm doing a long form video now. But if you're one of those people that are doing like a lot of typing, so if you're writing like ad copy, if you're doing like the social media posts, if you're doing like what else? If you were doing just like a long paragraph, right? If you're doing a lot of typing, I definitely suggest double tapping FN. And what that does is it opens up the microphone dictator, and it's pretty accurate. I wasn't necessarily disappointed. I'm actually going to try implementing it and using it later on. So that's just something I wanted to let you guys know and be aware of. It's Thursday. It's one of those days that I just don't feel the effect of certain things. You ever just do things and you're like, okay, you do something and something else is supposed to happen. And then when it happens, it doesn't feel like it made the progress that the progress that was supposed to be made was made. And so that's just one of those things that I've been feeling today. Like I've been making moves and progressive steps and it hasn't amounted to anything. And maybe it's just because, not everything is supposed to be um, an immediate kind of reaction, but sometimes it's just you feel like things are taking a little bit too long. So I'm spending the rest of my day trying to find out what exactly would be the best use of my time and then actually using it that way. So I'm probably going to spend a lot of time editing. I've checked on my calendar. I have like 3 back-to-back conference calls in terms of like networking because I'm really trying to get the word out there. Um, I've generated some leads today, so things are moving pretty well, but it still feels extremely slow. And I just have so much to get off my chest. And when I do the podcast, everything is about either motivation, education, or inspiration. And if I can motivate and inspire you guys based on my story, my roadblocks, educate you guys based on the things that I'm going through, and just be able to share some of the game that I get, it would be really cool. So um, I'm just I'm excited. I'm getting a call. That's why I just had to check my phone and everything. But I'm pretty excited for the rest of the year, right? So you guys heard that we passed 1,000 episodes, and it's just been nonchalant. It's been a nonchalant feeling. I don't know if that's necessarily the right word to pick. I really want to do a much better job at picking out my words. So glad I called this the rambling so I can talk about exactly whatever I would like, right? So one of the things that I've been coming to realize in terms of time management, right? A lot of us say that, oh, we don't have time for this. A lot of us say that we don't have time for that. And I've realized that time management is pretty important. We talk about how pennies or you can't, so you can't save your way to becoming a millionaire. If you make enough money, you kind of can. But what I will say is you can save enough time for it to matter. Those small little bits of seconds or minutes that you're scrolling through social media definitely add up. And if you're only worried about, oh, it only took 10 minutes to do this, but how many times a day are you wasting 10 minutes? And so if you waste, I'm up at 5 o'clock every day. And so if you waste 10 minutes around 5 o'clock, and then say you waste 10 minutes right before you go to bed, and then you usually sometimes take an extra 10 minutes for lunch, right? So you waste 10 minutes around 5 o'clock, 10 minutes around 12 o'clock, and then another 10 minutes around 6 o'clock. Where that's it doesn't really feel like it affected your day, right? Because in the grand scheme of things, that 10 minutes is only but so much. But if you actually do the math on that 10 minutes, right? And if you're doing it Monday through Friday, right? We're not even going to say that you're doing it every single day. We're just going to say that you're only doing it Monday through Friday. I have my calculator just to, so I can check it out. So if you're wasting 10 minutes each on each slot and you're doing that 3 times a day, you're wasting a half hour a day. And if you're doing that Monday through Friday, you're doing 2.5 hours a week. So all of you're wasting roughly a times movie every week on just lollygagging. Sometimes you're doing it on Saturdays and Sundays. And so that can be 3.5 hours in a week, right? So the point is that this time adds up. How much can you accomplish in 2.5 hours, right? For us, 2.5 hours is roughly $70. 2.5 hours is roughly $70 worth of work. So in that 2 hours, 2.5, 3.5 hours, what could you have possibly done? So if your time is worth even more than say $29 an hour and you're doing like high-end construction and high-end different work, right? You're spending anywhere from 70 to maybe a couple $100 depending on the worth of your time every week on just lollygagging. So if you were to put like a price on what it is that you're doing, you're spending a pretty good chunk of change every single week just wasting time. 2.5 to 3.5 hours. And sometimes it can be more because you're not spending just 10 minutes. You might decide to say, I'm going to do a TikTok, and then you're going to edit that TikTok. And that 10-minute time it took to create the TikTok took another 30 minutes to, then edit and post it. So there's so much that goes into making sure that you are using your time the most valuably. And I think that now that I've really condensed all of my responsibilities, my time is best used wisely, making sure we're trying to do things that will acquire customers, which is why I'm attending networking meetings. I'm doing a lot of content. I'm doing videos just like these so that you guys can see me. You guys can know what I do. You guys can hear everything that's going on. And just I stay top of mind. That's the goal, to stay top of mind and really try to bring as much value as I can. Sometimes I just like to vent. I like to get things off my chest. Um, for those of you that don't know, podcasting is a great outlet. It's very simple to get started. Now, I have a little bit of much more of a fancy setup, especially now that I've been doing this for roughly a year. So, I have like a tripod, ring light, I have a microphone, things like that. But when I very first started doing podcasting, I was recording either directly on my phone or directly on my laptop using the microphone that's built in directly with the laptop, using the webcams that are directly built in. It's not only until earlier this week that I was able to learn that I even had really an iPhone to connect to learn to do any of this stuff, right? So it's not like an overnight kind of process. But if you're really looking to have a voice, or if you're looking to create content and you're not the best writer like I am and you don't want to be seen, you can do podcasting. Now, I make podcast videos and do micro content and things of that nature, but you don't have to do that. That doesn't have to be part of your lane. It's comfortable for you. And I think making content is one of those ways that if you find the proper outlet, it's very comfortable, which is why I think I've really gotten back into podcasting and just being able to do a podcast naturally, because it's my voice. It's my outlet and it's my way to talk about what's going on in my life or things that I find interesting. And people have to kind of listen. People choose to listen. Put it like that, right? People choose to listen to the podcast. And if I'm able to change somebody's life, or if someone just feels like they're able to have a conversation with somebody, sometimes we just feel like we don't have anybody to talk to. And entrepreneurship is an extremely lonely path. Very few people are going to understand what it is that you're trying to do. Even fewer people that do understand it are going to understand why you're putting in so much effort and time and energy. And then there's going to be a very 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 maybe, and I say this wholeheartedly and ever so like hopefully, maybe just one person takes interest in enough for you to be able to have a regular conversation with them about, what's going on in your business life and things like that. And so that's a big reason on why I like networking as well. It's because it's an outlet for me to meet other, professionals, other business owners, other people that are doing different things with their lives that are similar to me, and be able to talk about the things that I'm doing without sounding like I'm bragging. Because when you talk to regular people, I'm not even gonna say regular people. When you talk to people that are not as ambitious as you, it can almost feel like, when you talk about what makes you happy, that you're bragging because there's positive effects to what you're doing, right? So no one really thinks of someone talking about them playing video games as bragging. But if a group of people that played video games all had a mutual friend that professionally played video games, right? So the entire group plays video games, which is fine. But if one of those friends professionally plays video games and then happens to then talk about his rough day at work or how he happened to lose an event, the people in that conversation are less sympathetic. It doesn't feel like what you do is as worthy as sympathy, or as like the job that you do doesn't, you shouldn't be, disappointed with it. You should be happy with every single thing that happens because you're able to do something that you love, when the reality is you do have a lot of hard days and a lot of hard times. And so having an outlet or being able to meet other people that have the same ambition level as you and share in the same like hopes, dreams, and things of that nature is one, very rare, but also when you do find it, an extremely comforting feeling. And so the podcast is just to be able to give somebody else that feeling. Inspiration and motivation doesn't have to be, hey, you're doing a good job, or it's going to get better. Sometimes it's just, I mean, there are other people that go through what you go through, and knowing that can just make you feel better because you're knowing you're not alone. You may not be able to reach out or connect with those people because you're busy, or because they're busy, or just because you don't have the means or know where to connect with those people at. But just knowing that they're there and knowing that you're not alone in whatever feelings you have is sometimes a pretty good feeling, and it's comforting.
Hey guys, so before you leave, don't forget February 26th, we're giving out free money and free prizes, and most importantly, free knowledge. It's going to be all value, all the time, the whole time. Hashtag BDW Live. It's going to be on YouTube, Clubhouse, and everywhere else. Free tickets to this free event are in the description.